Good day everyone, I am Michelle Lorraine Cuervo and we are the group 6 and we are going to report about the chapter 19, the El Filibusterismo, and the chapter 20. But let us first tackle about the chapter 19, which is the El Filibusterismo. So, El Filibusterismo, ito yung paggawa ng El Filibusterismo, itong topic na ito. So, first, dito sa time na ito, meron siyang girlfriend. Ang kanyang girlfriend ay si Suzanne Jacobi. Yan. Itong si Suzanne Jacobi, siya po ay 17 years old nung sila po ay naging magkasintahan ni Rizal. Ano. Tapos, habang ginagawa ito ni Rizal, siya yung girlfriend. Siya yung kasintahan ni Rizal. So, ito po yung nangyari. So, ginawa ni Rizal yung El Filibusterismo. Ito po ay nag-start. Ito po ay ginawa niya noong October 1887 sa Calamba. So, yun po ang start ng paggawa niya ng El Filibusterismo sa Calamba. Doon siya nagsimula ng paggawa nun. Pagkatapos, natapos niya ang El Filibusterismo sa Biarritz noong March 29, 1891 at ginawa niya yun ng 3 years. 3 taon niyang ginawa ang El Filibusterismo. So, habang ginagawa niya yung El Filibusterismo, di niya gaanong, alam mo yun, pinagtutuon ng pansin si Jacobi, itong si Suzanne Jacobi, kasi nga, focus siya sa paggawa ng El Filibusterismo. So, itong El Filibusterismo, ito po ay sequel ng Noli. Ibig sabihin, ito ay kadugtong ng Noli. Ito po ay lumabas sa press noong September 18, 1891. Yun po. At sunod, let's proceed to privations in Ghent. So, noong 1891, si Rizal at saka si Jose Alejandrino, sila po ay umalis sa Brussels. Sa Brussels para pumunta ng Ghent. Yun. Tapos, may dalawang reason si Rizal kung bakit pinili niyang umalis sa Brussels. Una, yung cost of living. Yung cost of living kasi sa Ghent, kung i-compare mo siya sa Brussels ay mas lower. Mas maliit mas lower yung cost of living doon. Ibig sabihin, mas makakasave itong si Rizal. At pangalawa, the price of printing was cheaper than in Brussels. Yung pag-print doon sa Ghent, ay mas mababa yung price, mas makakasave itong si Rizal. Knowing na, syempre, need niya talagang maglabas ng pera. So, need niyang maging practical yun para mas makasave siya sa pagpiprint. So, kaya siya pumunta doon sa Ghent. Kaya siya umalis ng Brussels at pumunta ng Ghent. Tapos, Alejandrino, who became a general during the Filipino-American War of 1899 to 1902, and an engineer, recounted in his memories their hard life in Ghent. Itong si Alejandrino, siya yung nagsulat naman ng, siya naman parang nire-reminisce niya, iniisip na yung mga pinagdaanan naman nila ni Rizal habang sila ay nasa Ghent. Yun. Dahil tapos na po tayong pag-usapan ang privations in Ghent, let us now proceed to the printing of El Filibusterismo. So, ano ba ang nangyari dito? So, ang willing po na mag-print ng libro or ng novel na El Filibusterismo ay ang F. Mayer van Loo Press, number 66, Vianderen Street. Yun po ang willing na mag-print. Willing sila na magpa-print ng novel na iyon on small partial payments. Okay lang sa kanila partial payments muna. Yung gawin ni Rizal. So, ang ginawa ni Rizal para makabayad siya doon sa early partial payments at saka doon sa babayaran talaga sa buong pagprint ng novel, ang ginawa niya, he pawned his jewels. Yun yung ginawa niya para makabayad siya doon sa mga gastusin sa pagpapaprint ng kanyang novel na El Filibusterismo. So, syempre, may mga tao rin na tumulong sa kanya. Naka-receive po siya, nakatanggap siya ng pera mula kay Basa. Gayon din na nakatanggap din siya ng 200 pesos mula kay Rodriguez Acias dahil sa copies ng Morgas book na nabenta doon sa Manila. Yun po ang nangyari. At on August 6, sabi po dito, noong August 6 ay nasuspende yung pagprint ng novel na El Filibusterismo. Kasi, itong si Rizal ay natakot siya. Kasi hindi niya na kayang tustusan yung pangangailangang pera para sa pagprint ng novel. So, kaya noong August 6 na na-pause, ibig sabihin na suspend muna yung pagpapaprint ng El Filibusterismo. Now, let us proceed to El Filibusterismo comes off the press. Dahil yun na po yung nangyari during sa printing ng El Filibusterismo. So, daming pinagdaanan muna. Ngayon, ito naman ay nung lumabas na ang El Filibusterismo sa press. So, Rizal almost burned the manuscript of El Filibusterismo. Muntikan niya nang sunugin yung El Filibusterismo. Siyempre dahil kulang din siya sa needed funds para sa pagprint nung novel. Tapos, pero, syempre, merong tagapagligtas. Meron namang tumulong sa kanya. Dumating itong si Valentin Ventura. Itong si Valentin Ventura, siya po ay nakatira sa Paris at narinig niya yung paghihirap na nangyayari kay Rizal. At yun nga, dahil sa hirap si Rizal sa pagprint ng novel. So, ang ginawa ni Valentin Ventura, agad siyang nagpadala ng pangangailangan na pera ni Rizal para matapos at magawa yung pagpapaprint ng El Filibusterismo. Tapos, noong September 18, 1891, doon na lumabas ang El Filibusterismo sa press. Yun, sa press. So, Rizal, now a very happy man, immediately sent that same day 2 copies to Hong Kong. So, dahil masaya na itong si Rizal dahil nga natapos na yung pagpapaprint ng sequel ng Noli Me Tangere. Nagpadala siya ng 2 libro sa Hong Kong. Ito ay pinadala niya kay Basa at yung isa naman ay kay Sixto Lopez. Yun. Siyempre, hindi niya nakalimutan padalhan itong si Valentin Ventura. Pinadalhan niya si Valentin Ventura ng original talaga na manuscript ng El Filibusterismo at nung printed copy. So, sabihin 2. Una, yung original copy at pangalawa at yung isang libro ay yun yung printed copy naman nung El Filibusterismo ni Rizal na merong autograph. May pirma pa doon. Sunod, sabi dito, dahil nga sa dahil sa na-publish na El Filibusterismo ni Rizal, ang mga members po ng Filipino colony ng Barcelona, sila po ay nag-publish ng tribute sa La Publicidad. Yun, nag-publish sila doon dahil sa ginawang novel ni Rizal na El Filibusterismo. Sabi dito, ang La Publicidad, it is a Barcelona newspaper. At dito ay kanilang sinabi na ang tungkol sa El Filibusterismo, kanila itong dinescribe as is comparable only to the sublime Alexander Dumas. At sinabi pa dito, a model and a precious jewel in the now decadent literature of Spain. Napakaganda, parang pinipraise talaga nila yung El Filibusterismo na ginawang novel ni Rizal. Sabi dito, practically all copies of the first edition, yung first edition, yung Ghent, di ba? Pumunta itong si Rizal, mula sa Brussels, pumunta siya ng Ghent para doon siya mag-print. At doon, nag-print siya sa F. Mayer Van Loo Press. So, yung original copy, yung first edition talaga na Ghent edition ng El Filibusterismo, ito po ay nakalagay sa wooden boxes. Napaka-precious. Nalagay pa talaga sa wooden boxes. At ito ay pinadala sa Hong Kong. Diba? Pinagpadala siya ng 2 copies. Diba? Doon sa Hong Kong kay Basa at kay Sixto Lopez. So, ito po ay nakalaman sa, ito ay nakalagay sa wooden boxes. Pero, ang lahat ng mga boxes na ito ay na-confiscate. At dahil nga na-confiscate itong mga boxes na ito, wooden boxes, muntika na rin na mawala ang mga first edition na pinadala doon sa Hong Kong. So, it came to pass that the book immediately became rare. So, dahil nga muntika na siyang, ma-lost, muntika na siyang mawala, yung first edition ng El Filibusterismo na ipinadala doon sa Hong Kong, siya po ay naging rare. Rare na siya. And ang ilan sa mga Ghent copies, ito po ay kanilang binenta ng mataas na halaga. Reaching as 400 pesitas per copy. Yun po ang presyuhan. Ganon siya ka-rare dahil sa sobrang rare ng Ghent edition, yung first edition, siya po ay nagkakahalagang 400 pesitas. Tapos po, tayo ay dumako na sa dedicated to Gomburza. Kanino ba talaga isinulat? Kanino ba talaga dinidedicate yung El Filibusterismo? Sabi po dito, ito po ay dinidedicate ni Rizal ang El Filibusterismo sa tatlong paring martir ang Gomburza. Si Father Gomez, Father Burgos, and Father Zamora. Diba po ito po ay kinuwento ni Pasiano kay Rizal. Nalaman ang kwento ng tatlong paring martir ni Rizal dahil sa kanyang kapatid na si Pasiano. So, ang tatlong paring ito ay si Don Mariano Gomez, Don Jose Burgos, at saka si Don Jacinto Zamora. So, sa kanilang tatlo po, dinidedicate ni Jose Rizal ang novel na El Filibusterismo. Ngayon po ay, ang kasunod naman po ay ang The Manuscript and the Book. Ito naman tayo. Sabi dito, ang original po na manuscript, ang original talaga na El Filibusterismo, na merong, alam mo yun, yung sa own handwriting talaga, sa mismong sulat talaga ni Jose Rizal, yung El Filibusterismo, yung original talaga, ito po ay nakapreserve sa Filipiniana Division of the Bureau of Public Libraries sa Manila. So, napaka-interesting kasi, nakapreserve pa pala yung original copy talaga na andun talaga yung tunay na nakasulat na sulat ni Jose Rizal. So, sabi po dito, ito po ay nakuha ng Philippine government mula kay Valentin Ventura sa halagang 10,000 pesos. Ito po ay merong 279 pages. So, yun po, nakuha po nila ang original copy na meron talagang, original copy na pinadala ni Rizal doon kay Valentin Ventura. Nakuha yun ng Philippine government doon kay Ventura at iyon ay pinagbili ng 10,000 pesos at meron siyang 279 pages. Yun yung talaga ang original. Siya po ay nakatago sa Filipiniana Division of the Bureau of Public Libraries. So, meron po tayong dalawang feature ng manuscript ng original na wala siya sa printed book. Wala siya sa printed book. Una ay the foreword at ang pangalawa, the warning. Ito po ay ang dalawang ito, 'di ba? Doon sa No Limit Tangere, hindi sinama ni Rizal yung isang chapter na Elias and Salome. Dito naman sa El Filibusterismo, merong dalawang feature na hindi niya sinali para mas makasave siya sa pagprint. Una, yung forward at pangalawa yung warning. Yung forward po, ito po ay makikita sa bago ang dedicatory page ng manuscript at yung warning naman makikita siya sa other side ng dedication. So yun po ang dalawang feature ng El Filibusterismo na hindi siya makikita sa printed copies, kundi doon lamang sa original copy mismo na ipinadala ni Rizal doon kay Valentin Ventura. So, sabi po dito, yung title page po ng El Filibusterismo, ito po ay merong inscription Ang nagsulat po ng inscription na yon ay si Ferdinand Blumentritt. Di ba yun ay ang kanyang friend, na palagi niyang nakakasulatan. So, yun po ang nagsulat ng inscription doon sa El Filibusterismo. Ngayon, pumunta naman tayo sa Synopsis of El Filibusterismo. Sabi dito, yung novel po na El Filibusterismo, ito po isang bitter cry of a suffering soul. Napakaganda. Ang El Filibusterismo, ito ay mas less yung humor, mas less yung pagpapatawa, less idealism, and less romance as what we find in Noli. Kung doon sa Noli, more on parang mas na-emphasize konti yung romance between Ibarra and Maria Clara. Dito po sa Noli Me Tangere, dito po sa El Filibusterismo rather, mas less yung romance. Sabi dito, mas revolutionary siya. Mas revolutionary at mas tragic kaysa sa unang novel na Noli Me Tangere. Mas tragic ang El Filibusterismo. Ang hero po na dito sa El Filibusterismo ay isang mayamang jeweler, na ng mga jewels, si Simon. Itong si Simon, siya si Crisostomo Ibarra sa Noli Me Tangere. Doon sa Noli Me Tangere, siya si Ibarra, Crisostomo Ibarra. Dito sa El Filibusterismo, siya ay naging si Simon, naging isang rich jeweler siya. Sabi dito, ang mga characters po ng El Filibusterismo, katulad ng Noli, siya din po ay merong nakabase sa real life ng mga characters, real life ng mga tao talaga. Paano? For instance, itong si Padre Florentino, siya po ay si Father Leoncio Lopez sa real life. Itong si Francis Leoncio Lopez, siya po isang pare na kaibigan ni Rizal sa Calamba. Si Isagani, na isang poet dito sa El Filibusterismo, siya po ay si Vicente Ilustre. Sa real life, sa tunay na buhay. Siya po ay isang Batanggenyo na kaibigan ni Rizal. At sabi po dito, ang babae po na minamahal na Isagani na nagpakasal kay Juanito Pilaez, siya po ay nagsisimbolo kay Leonor Rivera. So, makikita natin na may mga characters dito sa El Filibusterismo na nakabase talaga siya sa mga real life na mga tao na kilala ni Jose Rizal. Ngayon, atin namang i-compare ang Noli sa Fili. So, ano nga ba yung pagkakaiba ng dalawa? Sino kaya yung mas angat? Sino kaya yung mas superior? Sabi dito, ang Noli po ay, it is a romantic novel. Romantic novel. Kaya nga sabi kanina, di ba, ang Fili daw ay, ang El Filibusterismo ay less romantic kaysa sa Noli. Kasi, ang Noli po kasi, siya isang romantic novel. It is the work of the heart. A book of feeling. Napaganda? Work of the heart. Ito talaga yung mula sa puso, work of the heart. More on romantic. It is a romantic novel. Naka-evolve ang Noli Me Tangere sa love story ni Maria Clara at ni Ibarra. That's why it is work of the heart. It is a romantic novel. It has freshness, color, humor, lightness, and wit. Yun yung description ng Noli Me Tangere. Ito ay more on humor. Light-hearted lang yung story. It's a romantic novel talaga siya. Pero, itong El Filibusterismo, sabi dito, isa siyang political novel. Kung ang Noli Me Tangere isa siyang romantic novel, ang El Filibusterismo siya isang political novel. Kung kanina, ang Noli Me Tangere isa siyang work of the heart, ang El Filibusterismo siya ay isang work of the head. Work of the head, book of the thought. It contains bitterness, hatred, pain, violence, and sorrow. Kung yung Noli Me Tangere, siya po ay light-hearted, may humor, may wit, romantic. Itong sa El Filibusterismo, siya ay bitter. Parang may hatred, may pain. Alam mo yun? Siya po ay political talaga siya. Kung i-compare natin sa Noli Me Tangere. So, Rizal, kung tatanungin si Rizal, kino-consider niya na mas superior ang Noli kaysa sa El Fili. Ano? Pero, sabi din dito, itong si Ritana, siya yung Spanish biographer ni Rizal. Sabi dito, siya din ay naniniwala na mas superior ang Noli kaysa sa El Fili. Pero may mga tao din syempre na alam mo yun, hindi sila agree kay Rizal. For them, mas superior ang Fili kaysa sa Noli. Sila ay sina Blumentritt, si Graciano Lopez Haina, at saka si Dr. Rafael Palma. Sila yung they believe na mas superior ang El Fili kaysa sa Noli. While si Rizal at saka si Ritana, they believe naman na mas superior ang Noli kaysa sa El Fili. Pero sabi dito, the issue of which is the superior novel, the Noli or the Fili, is purely academic. Purely academic lang siya. Kasi sa totoo naman talaga, ang dalawang novel na ito, sila po ay nakatulong para ma-depict, para maipakita talaga ang tunay na nangyayari sa Pilipinas during Spanish colonization. Nagpapakita siya ng real life na mga pangyayari, tunay na mga estado, tunay na mga pangyayari dito sa Philippines, na mga pagmamalupit doon sa government, pamamahala ng Spaniards, especially ng mga friars dito sa Philippines during colonization. Sabi dito, both are instrumental in awakening the spirit of Filipino nationalism. Ang dalawang novel na ito, hindi na natin kailangang magkaroon pa ng debate kung saan sa dalawang novel ang superior, kung Noli ba or El Fili. So hindi na kailangang pagtalunan kasi both of these novels nakatulong siya para maibukas yung mga mata ng mga Filipinos during that time sa mga pagmamalupit ng mga ng mga Spaniards during their reign here in the Philippines. Mariano Ponce aptly told Rizal after reading the novel, sinabi ni Mariano Ponce, babasahin ko po, "It is indeed excellent. I can say nothing of your book, but it is really marvelous, like all the brilliant productions of your pen. It is a true twin of the Noli." Ibig sabihin, twin. Walang nakakalamang. Ang both of these novels, sila po ay nakakontribute sa pagpapabukas ng mga mata ng mga Filipinos during that time. Ngayon naman po, dahil tapos na tayo sa pagka-compare natin ng Noli at Fili, alam niyo ba na si Rizal ay nagsulat siya ng third novel? Pagkatapos ng El Filibusterismo, siya po ay nagsulat ng third novel, pangatlong novel. Sabi dito, itong si Graciano Lopez Haina, kanyang nagsuggest siya kay Rizal na magsulat siya ng iba pang another novel. Tapos si Rizal, meron na siyang naisip ng kanyang isusulat sa kanyang pangatlong novel. Yun. Sabi dito, noong October 18, 1891, sumakay itong si Rizal sa Melbourne, siya po ay sumakay ng Melbourne sa Marseilles, papuntang Hong Kong. Mula sa Marseilles, siya pupuntang Hong Kong, sakay ng steamer na ang pangalan o ang tawag ay Melbourne. So, during the voyage, habang siya ay naglalakbay, siya ay nakasakay sa Melbourne, kanyang sinulat yung third novel niya, yung pangatlong novel niya. At ang kaibahan ng pangatlong novel na ito, siya po ay nakasulat sa Tagalog. Siya ay nakasulat sa Tagalog. Kasi, ang pangatlong novel na ito talaga ay intended, ito talaga ay sinulat ni Rizal para basahin ng mga Tagalog readers. Para sa mga Filipino, para makakaintindi, para mabasa ng mga hindi nakakaintindi ng Spanish. Yun. So, Rizal did not finish it. Hindi siya natuloy hindi siya natapos ni Rizal. Bakit kaya? Kasi, itong si Rizal kasi, mas mas magaling siyang magsulat sa Spanish kaysa sa Tagalog. Kaya hindi niya natapos yung pangatlong novel na ito. Napakaganda sana kasi Tagalog sana itong novel na ito. Pero dahil nga hindi skilled si Rizal sa pagsulat sa paggamit ng Tagalog, that's why mas magaling siya kasi sa Spanish. Mas magaling siya magsulat in Spanish. That's why hindi niya natapos itong pangatlong novel na ito. Ang pangatlong novel na ito, wala siyang title. Wala siyang title? Meron siyang 44 pages, na sulat mismo talaga ni Rizal. Tapos, sabi dito ito ay nakapreserve sa Bureau of Public Libraries. Bureau of Public Libraries. Formerly, ito ay tinatawag na National Library. So, doon nakapreserve itong pangatlong novel na ito ni Rizal, na merong 44 pages at nakasulat sa Tagalog, pero hindi niya natapos kasi nga, hindi siya ganun ka-skillful in terms to writing. Tapos yung gamit niya pa na language ay Tagalog, kaya hindi niya natapos. Sabi dito, yung novel na ito, ang hero dito ay si Camandagan. Isa siyang descendant ni Lacandula. Si Lacandula, siya yung last king ng Tondo. Tapos, ang anak niya ay si Camandagan. So, he plotted to regain the lost freedom of his father. So, yun ang plot ng story ng pangatlong novel ni Rizal. Pero, hindi niya natapos. Yun. Ngayon, let us proceed to the last one sa chapter 19, ang Rizal's other unfinished novels. So, bukod doon sa third novel sana na gagawin ni Rizal, meron pang mga other na mga novels si Rizal na hindi niya natapos. So, unang-una dito ay ang Makamisa. Isa po siyang Tagalog novel at meron siyang 20 pages. Pangalawa ay yung Dapitan. Ito ay isinulat ni Rizal nung siya ay in-exile, siya ay nilagay sa dapitan at ipinakita niya doon yung life, yung pamumuhay sa town at mga customs, yung mga nakaugalian doon. At meron siyang 8 pages. Sunod sa Dapitan, meron din siyang Spanish novel. Ito ay tungkol sa buhay sa Pili. Ang Pili, isa po siyang town sa Laguna. Tapos, ito yung novel din, itong Spanish novel na ito. Isa din siyang unfinished novel ni Rizal. Meron siyang 147 pages ang novel na ito. Wala siyang title eh. Sinabi lang na ito ay tungkol sa life in Pili doon sa Laguna. At yung last novel dito, meron siyang novel na walang title. Ito ay tungkol kay Cristobal. Isa siyang youthful Filipino student who has returned from Europe. Ang novel na ito, isa siyang novel na tungkol kay Cristobal na nagmula sa Europe tapos bumalik siya dito sa Pilipinas. So, parang siyang kay Rizal. Makikita talaga natin sa mga novel ni Rizal na ito ay based talaga sa real life. Yun lamang po yung chapter 19 and now let us proceed to chapter 20 and yung mga kagrupo ko ang magre-report. Thank you!
Chapter 20 in Hong Kong, 1891 to 1892. If our countrymen repose their faith only in us who are in Europe, they make a great mistake. This general credulity that we may be able to aid from this distant land seemed to me to be a great error. The medicine must be applied close to the wound, Jose Rizal said. His reasons for leaving Europe were as follows. Reason number 1. Life was unbearable in Europe due to his political differences with Marcelo H. Del Pilar and other Filipinos in Spain. Reason number 2, to lead the propaganda movement in Hong Kong and to be near his beloved Philippines and family. Before sailing for Hong Kong, he told Del Pilar that he could not write anymore for La Solidaridad. Rizal spent 7 happy months in Hong Kong. Rizal left Marseille for Hong Kong on board the Melbourne. He carried a letter of introduction for Manuel Camus, a compatriot living in Singapore, written by Juan Luna. There were over 80 first-class passengers. He amazed his fellow passengers because of his knowledge of many languages and his skill in sketching. In early days in Hong Kong, he was welcomed by the Filipino residents, especially his old friend Jose Mabasa. He also opened his medical clinic. His brother-in-law, Manuel T. Hidalgo, sent him a letter relating the sad news of the deportation of 25 persons from Calamba, including his father, Neneng, Sisa, Lucia, Pasiano, and the rest of us. Shortly before Christmas, he was gladdened by the arrival of his father, brother, and Silvestre Ubaldo, his brother-in-law, in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, not long afterwards, his mother and sisters Lucia, Josefa, and Trinidad also arrived. His mother was then 65 years old and was almost blind. In medical practice in Hong Kong, a Portuguese physician, Dr. Lorenzo P. Marquez, who became his friend and admirer, helped him to build up a wide clientele. In recognition of Rizal's skill as an ophthalmic surgeon, he turned over to him many of his eye cases. For the second time, Rizal successfully operated on his mother's eyes so that she was able to read and write again. Dr. Ariston Bautista Lin from Paris sent him a congratulatory letter and a book on diagnostic pathology by Dr. H. Virchow, and another medical book entitled Trade Diagnostic by Mes Mitchell. In Borneo colonization project, Rizal conceived the establishment of a Filipino colony in Borneo. He planned to move the landless Filipino families to that rich British-owned island and carve out of its virgin wilderness a new Calamba. The British authorities of Borneo were willing to give the Filipino colonists 100,000 acres of land, a beautiful harbor, and a good government for 999 years, free of all charges. One of Rizal's brothers-in-law, Hidalgo, a brave Batangueño, objected to the colonization project. New trends of events in Philippines gave Rizal a new hope for realizing his Borneo project. The infamous whaler, whom the Cubans aptly called the Butcher, was relieved of his gubernatorial office. A new Governor General, Eulogio Despujol, the Count of Caspe, announced to the Filipino people a fine program of government. In the belief that Governor Despujol was sincere in his beautiful promises of better government, Rizal sent him a letter of felicitation and offering his cooperation. The Governor General, violating the simple rule of Spanish courtesy, did not even acknowledge receipt of his letter. After vainly waiting for 3 months for a reply to his first letter, Rizal wrote a second letter and gave it to a ship captain to be sure it would reach Governor Despujol's hand. In this second letter, he requested the Governor-General to permit the landless Filipinos to establish themselves in Borneo. Once more, Despujol did not give Rizal the courtesy of a reply. Instead, he notified the Spanish Consul General in Hong Kong to tell Rizal that he could not approve the Filipino immigration to Borneo, alleging that the Philippines lacked laborers and it was not very patriotic to go off and cultivate a foreign soil.
The next one is writing in Hong Kong. Notwithstanding the pressure of his medical practice and his Borneo colonization project, Rizal continues this writing. First of all, he tried to finish his third novel in Tagalog but later gave it up because of his poor command of literacy Tagalog. So una dito is he wrote ang mga karapatan ng tao, which is a Tagalog translation of the right of a man proclaiming by the French revolutionists in 1789. About the same time, which is 1891, he wrote a la Nación Española to my Spanish nation, which is a appeal to Spanish to right the wrong done of the Calamatenans. So another proclamation entitled sa mga kababayan, which is to my countrymen, was written in December 1891 explaining the Calamba agrarian situation. So first of all, what is this Calamba agrarian dispute? So bale, the Calamba tenants, bale yung mga magsasaka, including yung pamilya ni Rizal, face a conflict with the Dominican order, which owned the land they worked. So the Dominicans were raising rents and evicting tenants, causing a widespread hardship. So this situation fueled Rizal activism and inspired several of his writing. So unahin ko na yung mga writings ni Rizal, yung unang nga nabanggit, ang mga karapatan ng tao, which is sabi ko nga, ito'y work which is Tagalog translation of influential text by the French Enlightenment philosopher, often attributes to the French Revolution's ideals. By translating it into Tagalog, Rizal made these liberal ideas accessible to a wider Filipino audience, promoting concept of individual liberty and human rights. So the next one is yung a la Nación Española to the Spanish nation. So this was a direct appeal to the Spanish government. Rizal argued that the injustices suffered by the Calamba tenants were a violation of human rights and called for Spain to rectify the situation. So sumunod naman dito yung sa mga kababayan, to my countrymen. So this proclamation was aimed at the Filipino people, particularly those in Calamba. It served to explain the complexities of the agrarian dispute, galvanizing support for their cause and highlighting the injustices they face. It's likely sought to unite the tenants and encourage them to stand firm in their demands of fair treatment. Next one is Rizal contribute articles to the British daily newspaper, which is the Hong Kong Telegraph, whose editor is Mr. Francis Smith, which is yung kanyang kaibigan. So bakit nga ba si Rizal ay nag-contribute ng mga nagbigay ng article sa nasabing kumpanya, newspaper company na to? So siyempre, the Hong Kong Telegraph provided Rizal with a platform to reach a wider audience beyond the Filipino community. So his article was written in English, could reach not only in the Philippines but also in other countries. So yun lang naman ang ibig sabihin nun. Kaya siya nag-contribute ng kanyang mga articles. So yung mga copy ng articles, so the copy of this newspaper entered the Philippines so that the Filipinos people were able to read Rizal's articles. Sa vigilant Spanish censored soon discover the spread of Rizal ideas and immediate banned the Hong Kong newspaper. The next one is on March 2, 1892, Rizal wrote Una visita a la Victoria Gaol, which is in English a visit to Victorian Gaol, an account of his visit to the colonial prison of Hong Kong. In this article, he contrasted the cruel Spanish prison system with the modern and more humane British prison system. So bali yung nilalaman ng article na yun, yung mga naging observation ni Rizal sa Victoria Gaol, which is yung prison. Kinumpara niya itong prison na to sa prison noon sa Pilipinas noon. So bali sa Spanish sa Spain, sa Spanish colonization dito sa Pilipinas, ang prison ay masyadong overcrowded, hindi kagaya sa British na maluag o parang may fair treatment sa mga preso, hindi kagaya sa Spain. Parang hindi lang naman niyaraman nito eh. So bali, bakit nga ba yung comparison is matter? Comparison matter because Rizal comparison wasn't just an observation. It was a political statement. So by highlighting the differences, he implicitly criticized the brutality of the Spanish colonial regime and suggested that the more modern and humane approach to justice was possible. To elucidate his pet Borneo colonization project, he wrote an article in French entitled Colonizations du British Nord Borneo por des Families des Îles Philippines, or Colonization of British North Borneo by families from the Philippine Islands. He elaborated the same idea in another article in Spanish, which is Proyecto de Colonización del British North Borneo por Filipinos, which is in English Project for the Colonization of British North Borneo by the Filipinos. So Jose Rizal, deeply concerned about the plight of landless Filipinos suffered under the harsh condition in the Philippines, conceived a plan to establish a Filipino colony in British North Borneo, which now we call Sabah. He believed this would offer a better life for his countrymen escaping from excessive Spanish colonization rule and the difficulties caused by the Calamba agrarian dispute. So bali yung Borneo colonization project wasn't merely a relocation scheme. Rizal envisioned creating a self-sufficient community where Filipinos could own land, cultivate it, and build a new life free from the injustice they face at home. He saw British North Borneo as a promising location due to its fertile land and, importantly, its governance under the British, whom he perceived as having a more just a humane system than the Spanish. Kaya yun ang dahilan kung bakit sumulat siya ng dalawang article na nakasulat sa French at sa Spanish. The next one is, on March 2, 1892, Rizal wrote Una visita a la Victoria Gaol, which is in English a visit to Victorian Gaol, an account of his visit to the colonial prison of Hong Kong. In this article, he contrasted the cruel Spanish prison system with the modern and more humane British prison system. So bali yung nilalaman ng article na yan, yung mga naging observation ni Rizal sa Victoria Gaol, which is yung prison. Kinumpara niya itong prison na to doon sa prison noon sa Pilipinas noon. So bali sa Spain, sa Spanish colonization dito sa Pilipinas, ang prison ay masyadong overcrowded, hindi kagaya sa British na maluag o parang may fair treatment sa mga preso, hindi kagaya sa Spain. Parang hindi lang naman niyaraman nito eh. So bali, bakit nga ba yung comparison is matter? Comparison matter because Rizal comparison wasn't just an observation. It was a political statement. So by highlighting the differences, he implicitly criticized the brutality of the Spanish colonial regime and suggested that the more modern and humane approach to justice was possible. June 2, 1892, he wrote La Mano Roja, which is in English the Red Hand, which was printed in sheet form in Hong Kong. It denounced the frequent outbreak of international fires in Manila. So ano ba itong La Mano Roja? Bali itong Romano Roja is a pamphlet printed in Hong Kong in June 1892. So ano ba yung purposes nito? Anong purpose ng pamphlet na to? So bali, ang unang-una, to expose the truth. Rizal aims to bring attention to what he saw as a pattern of arson, challenging the official narratives that might have attributes the fires of incidents or to less powerful groups, to incite actions by highlighting the severity of the problems and suggesting its international nature. He likely hoped to pressure authorities to investigate and take actions. So, sunod na purposes is to raise awareness. The pamphlet served as a wake-up call to the public, encouraging vigilance and potentially inspire resistance to the perceived injustice. Most important writing made by Rizal during his Hong Kong sojourn was the Constitutions and Bylaw of the Liga Pilipina, which was printed in Hong Kong in 1892. To deceive the Spanish authorities, the printed copies carry the false informations that the printing was done by the London Printing Press, number 25 Collins Street, London. The idea of establishing the Liga Pilipina is an association of patriotic Filipinos for civic purposes. Was originally conceived by Jose M. Basa, but it was Rizal who wrote its constitutions and realized its establishment. The copies of the printing Liga Constitution were sent by Rizal to Domingo Franco, which is yung kanyang kaibigan. His decision to return to Manila. By May 1892, Rizal made up his mind to return to Manila. This decision was spurred by the following. So first is to confer with Governor Desposhol regarding his Borneo colonization project. So Borneo colonization project, Rizal ambitious plan to establish a Filipino colony in British North Borneo aims to alleviate the suffering of landless Filipinos and provide them with the opportunity to escape the oppressive conditions under the Spanish rule. So number 2 is to establish the Liga Pilipina in Manila. So Rizal's vision extended beyond simple relocating Filipinos. He sought to create a unified organization, which is the Liga Pilipina, to advocate for reforms within the Philippines. He believed that establishing the Liga headquarters in Manila was essential for its success and reach. So this organization aims to unite Filipino across social class and geographical locations to push for peaceful and gradual reforms under the Spanish colonial government. And number 3 is to prove that Eduardo de Leyte was wrong in attacking him in Madrid, that which is Rizal, being comfortable and safe in Hong Kong, had abandoned the country's cause. Latest attack, which has printed in La Solidaridad on April 15, 1892, portrayed Rizal was cowardly, egoistic, opportunistic, a patriot in words only. So Rizal vehemently protested to Del Pilar, which is the editor of La Solidaridad, saying, "I am more convinced that Leyte, in writing the article, was too hasty, and you permitted yourself to be carried away, friend or enemy. If the article has harmed me, more it would harm the interests of the Philippines. Who knows? However, if all it was for the best, it has shaken me awake, and after a long silence, I enter the field anew. I'm going to activate the propaganda against the fortified the Liga. So the next is Last Hong Kong Letter. Relatives and friends of Rizal oppose his decision to return home because it was like a breeding the lion to their den. His sister Trinidad tearfully warned him to decide for her they will kill you. Not even the fear of death could deter Rizal from his decision. So on June 19, 1892, he spent his 31st birthday in Hong Kong. Evidently, he had a premonition for his death. For the following day, June 20, he wrote 2 letters which he sealed, scribed on each envelope to be opened after my death, and gave them to his friend Marquez for safekeeping. In the page of the history, there is scarcely a parallel for these 2 sealed letters, which were virtually Rizal's political statement. So, ano ba yung dalawang letter na yun? So, yung unang letter ay naka-address sa kanyang magulang, kapatid, at mga kaibigan. So, valid sa letter, ipinaliliwanag niya na ang kanyang gagawin ay dahil sa kanyang tungkulin at paniniwala, kahit na alam niya na may posibilidad na mamatay siya. So, hindi niya pinagsisisihan ng kanyang mga ginawa at handa siya mamatay para sa kanyang bayan, at sa pagkamit ng hustisya at kapayapaan para sa kanyang mga mahal sa buhay. Umaasa siya na ang kanyang pagkamatay ay magtatapos sa paghihirap ng marami at sana'y maging masaya ang kanyang pamilya sa pagbalik niya sa kanilang bayan. So sa huli, sinabi niya na lagi silang iniisip at hangad ang kanilang kaligayahan. Yung second letter naman, which is addresses to the Filipinos, nagpapaliwanag sa mga Pilipino kung bakit handa siyang isugal ang kanyang buhay. Alam niya na mapakanib ang gagawin niya at maraming tutol, pero hindi niya kayang tiisin ang paghihirap ng kanyang pamilya at ang maraming inosente dahil sa kanya. Mas pinili niya na mamamatay para makalaya ang mga ito sa di makatarungang pag-uusig. Naiintindihan niya na marami ang magagalak sa kanyang pagkamatay, pero mas mahalaga sa kanya ang kanyang konsensya at ang kanyang tungkulin sa kanyang pamilya at bayan. So naniniwala siya may iba pang makapagpapatuloy ng kanyang gawain at handa siyang mamatay para sa kanyang pagmamahal sa bayan, kahit na hindi siya lubos na pinahahalagahan. Hanggang sa huli niyang hininga, mamahalin niya ang Pilipinas at aasa sa paglaya nito. For the last, Rizal fall into Spanish trap. Immediately after Rizal's departure from Hong Kong, the Spanish Consul General, who issued a government guarantee for safety, sent a cablegram to General Desponyol that the victim is in the trap. On the same day, June 21, 1892, a secret case was filed in Manila against Rizal and his followers for anti-religious and anti-patriotic allegation. The Despujol ordered his secretary, Luis de la Torre, to find out if Rizal was naturalized as a German citizen, as was rumored, so that he might take proper actions against one who had the protection of a strong nation. So meanwhile, Rizal and his sister were peacefully crossing the China Sea. They were fully unaware of Spanish duplicity. So bali para lang naman ang sinasabi dito. Pagkatapos umalis ni Rizal sa Hong Kong, nagpadala ang Consul General ng Espanya ng lihim na mensahe kay Gobernador Despujol na nagsasabing nasa Hong Kong na si Rizal. Kasabay nito, nagsampa ng kaso sa Maynila labang kay Rizal at sa kanyang mga tagasunod dahil sa di mo ano'y anti-religion and anti-patriotic na mga gawain. So sinikap ni Despujol na malaman kung naging mamamayan ba ng Germany si Rizal para magawa ang nararapat na aksyon laban sa kanya. Samantalang tahimik na naglalakbay si Rizal at ang kanyang kapatid sa dagatan sa China Sea, walang kamalay-malay sa pakana ng mga Espanyol.